All right, there's the numbers. So this is just a quick review of what we did last week. Anytime you make a palette of color, whether you create your own or not, make sure you have a key. We practiced controlling the size of our paint brush or stroke, and also compared sizes of pens. Control the flow from a solid hard edge and fade it out to light. Do wet on wet. Wet on wet can be either just wet on paper or wet on wet paint, and that creates a soft edge because the paint blurs. This was an anemic watermelon. This one's a little better. And so these are both wet on wet so that the dark would blur. Dry brush stroke where you see the paper underneath, and this was just kind of practicing hard edge and water. And then we did layering with a little cupcake, and then this is supposed to be my front, which I haven't done yet. And so we're going to share just a little bit, and this is Suzanne's journal. And I told you last week that you could sew them together, so she did that. Yay, Suzanne. Aww. So, Art by Carrie, January 16th, which was last week. Oh, that's my quote. Art is a therapeutic escape that brings me peace. And I really, it is. If I don't have a chance to be creative, it doesn't, whether it's cooking, painting, whatever, if I don't do that every day, I just don't feel right. So and she takes copious notes. If you'll see, this is awesome.
That's totally awesome.
But it's good. But then you'll remember what you did, and then you can sit down and teach somebody else. Because what I love about this all began because an artist reached out to me, a stranger, and said, "Hey, you want to come into my studio? Let me show you what I do." And she showed me that water brush, and that was it just rocked my world.
Will you
Anyway.
go back to the quote, just flip it one more time, the quote on the front.
Oh,
Escape, okay.
art is a therapeutic escape that brings me peace.
I could remember the rest of
And then you add the little seeds when it's dry. Oh, she's done a flower vase. Very nice. I like how you just chose a few of the flowers. This is great. Love it. Early camellia in the backyard. Yeah, poor flowers are confused. They don't know
What does your pillow say?
It says Spade. My friend made it for me.
for her name. And then we have the first narcissus.
I think I spelled it wrong. We have to
No,
take
I
out
don't.
the last
I'm
S.
horrible at spelling. So, but that's lovely. I mean, because it captures a moment in time. It captures a memory. You've documented even with words, and that's one thing that that I didn't mention last week is if I want to write in my journal, say I've done something I really like and I want to write in it. I don't start with pen. I always write in pencil first. And once I get I make sure the spelling is right. I hope I've misspelled some things and I've had to go back and try to fix them with that whiteout pen. I've tried to change the lettering. But I do it in pencil, very, very light. Then I go over it in the pen, make sure the pen's dry, then I erase it with my kneading eraser. So you don't see the pencil. And it helps you with centering. Like here, this is kind of centered. Well, I can't do that unless I write it ahead of time. And it's okay if you do it on top of your watercolor if you are careful. Like here, I have Tawny Lee Waltz Born, and I have, it's just colors. But I didn't want to, if you erase too hard, you're going to lift up some of the color. So anytime you have lettering, plan it out first with pencil. Now, Pam Brown doesn't. She just goes for it and does beautiful calligraphy stuff. But if I'm not comfortable with that, I'm not comfortable with my spelling. So, I don't want to.
By the ending of the sentence, if you made it floral by changing the ending like
this
You
side?
do
Maybe
this
it's
side.
a-
We'll have to
But I've
Google
never
that.
seen that, and then I got, I'm gonna be whitening out the last stuff, so.
Listen, it doesn't matter.
But anyway, I mean, it's just, it's, you know, sometimes lettering, sometimes I tell a little story or whatever.
Ooh, I love that.
But it's, you can write on top of the watercolor, but if you watercolor on top of pencil, don't expect to erase your pencil.
Oh,
You've got to do it after the watercolor's dry. You know,
and then it erased?
well, because it's on top of the watercolor.
That's
You do watercolor. Say if I drew something out, I painted over it. Chances there's some if you paint fairly, if you light and it's not going to erase very well. It's not going to erase very well because you painted on top of the lead. If you paint first, let it dry, then write out the words, then that's going to erase because it's on top of the paint. Now, I have been able to get rid of a few lines that showed just because my paint didn't cover it very well. Did that make sense?
Can you flip back
something first?
Flip back to what?
the previous hiking trail you had with the beautiful drop off?
Oh, that was Myrtle Point, yeah.
Myrtle Point. Do you mind if I take a picture of that? I
No,
love
not
your
at all.
shadows in that.
Yeah, and this is one thing we're going to focus on today is saving your whites. So this is an example of when I'm on a snowy path, because white is the,
It is narcissism.
you know, the paper. It's white. The paper in your painting is your white in your painting. So you have to make sure that you save the white. Like this one, this was the same place.
I gotta take a picture.
You know, it had 20, well, it was 17 degrees, and there was 21 inches of snow.
Oh my goodness.
So-
I can't.
Yeah, that's a con. We
Wow.
hiked up there
In the snow.
in the snow.
Look at the trees.
And
Aren't they beautiful?
you know, you paint the shadows and you leave the white of the snow. So regardless of what it is you're painting, the first thing in watercolor that I want you to just drill into your head is, where's the lightest light? Where is my light? And there's times when you have to draw first and then paint, and there's times when you can just start with paint. So those are a couple of things that I want you to think about as we look at different scenes is, do I need to, can I just start with paint? Or do I have to draw first? And if you have to draw first, you always want to draw light.
With what?
Pencil.
Pencil.
You should have got, I think, a mechanical pencil.
Nothing.
I always have that because there's always a lead. There's always a point. And I can control, it's not a very dark lead. So like this one, there's a whole lot of light in it. And I chose not to outline anything in pen. You don't have to add pen if you don't want to. So, you know, what I wanted to focus on this was me crossing the Grandfather Mountain Bridge. It was a swinging bridge, and it just makes me really nervous, even though it's solid. People cross it all the time. I shouldn't be nervous when I cross it, but I'm extremely nervous when I cross it. It makes me,
I feel
it's
the same
unnerving
way.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
Are you afraid of heights generally, or just on?
I'm afraid of the hitting when I fall.
Do you like to climb lighthouses?
Oh, I love that.
Ugh,
I feel
I can't even
I
do
feel
that.
secure there.
Ugh.
Really?
I feel secure there. That doesn't bother me.
So just regular heights don't get you as much, because you would feel.
If I'm on the edge, oh yeah.
You can't look down though.
Don't.
Okay.
Well, I can't look down if I'm really close. I have to feel like I cannot fall. And even though crossing that bridge is as steady as it was because it was so deep down, I mean, I still cross it. I still do it. I mean, when I hike, I hike across. I have to go across logs but when they're really rushing down below and the handrail's way out here, I mean, my heart's just going, you know, and then this one with the snowy edge, that you know, the only way to get up there, you go to this place, well, I don't think it might not be in here. This,
Little Point?
yeah, okay, it's right here. This is where I am. See, I have spikes on my boots.
Ah.
So you know, I'm comfortable when I'm leaning back and I can stick my foot up and I'm secure on steady rock. I'm okay with that. Makes me nervous when Brad stands to the edge. But this point right here in the path where you have to go across here to get to that place, it feels like it's like this. And it drops off there and it drops off there. And it's not that narrow. And it's snow and ice. And it just made me nervous. Oh, I had my poles. But one of the first times we crossed it, it was really windy, like 60 miles an hour, and I was down low. You know, but then you get on the other side and you love the view, and you're sitting in the sun and it's a beautiful expanse, and then you go, oh crap, I gotta
go
around.
back.
That's the only way. You know, so
Have you seen the movie Everest?
I think I did.
I did years ago on IMAX.
Yeah, so anyway, today's focus is, you know, saving the light, finding the light, deciding if you're going to paint first or if you're going to draw first. And we're going to do a variety, and landscape. Landscape is our focus today. Buildings will be our focus next week. And then we're going to, you know, do some culminating things. But I do want to remind you of a couple of things while I've got the journals out. There's times when you want to simplify something and you just want to draw symbols related to, or, you know, like this represented jobs when we moved here. I taught Hurd Elementary, and Brad, you know, worked at a jewelry store, and so I drew a diamond ring and you know, just whatever to simplify things. You know, this was waiting for Santa. This is atmospheric perspective that we're going to be doing today, where and this helps me in my oil painting as well. The distance is less detailed, less intense, and if you look at your handout, okay, distant land is less intense, muted or dulled. You can see those colors are muted or dulled. You have cooler colors in the distance. Those are blues. Now there's some pinky tones, but it's not not as warm. Then as you get closer, you're going to get more vibrant, a little warmer. You're going to start to see more texture in things. And then as you get even the closest part, the foreground will be more vibrant, it'll be warmer, you'll have more intense colors. And so when you know this and you want to create a quick landscape and just lay it out, if you know that what's in the distance is going to be blurred and paler than what you have here, then that's going to help you paint to where it translates correctly. And photos don't always do that. Like here's a photo, and I haven't been here. A friend of mine let me use these photos from a trip. Now you can see how cool the blue is back there. That is distance, and that's lighter than that. That's lighter, it's further away than this. But you see that hard edge on that photograph? So if I was painting this in watercolor, I would want that edge to be more blurred so that it would seem further away. And then we have a little bit expanse of green. Notice the green's not back there. So yellow is one of the first colors to disappear in a landscape. And so you know that there's yellow here because there's green. Blue and yellow make green. And back there you won't see the green because the yellow, it's something with the atmosphere, how as it gets further back it disappears. So if you keep that in mind, you know that the closer things will be warmer. Okay, let me,
I have a fall picture. You'll pick it up in a fall picture somewhere, won't you? Still, Karen?
oh, yeah, there's always variations. Yeah, see, like here's another one that the distance is, there's less contrast between the sky and the distant hill because that's further away. And the brown in these rocks are a lot lighter than the brown in these foreground rocks. Although if you looked at them, they were pretty much the same color if I was standing over there versus standing over here. But to show the distance, you want to get things lighter as it goes further back. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, who else can share today? Anybody else have anything that they would?
I'll do mine. I don't have many. I only got a couple done. But whatever. I'm sorry, I'm still afraid to put it in a permanent book.
There's nothing wrong with this, Hillary. If you do what's comfortable
Okay.
for you.
Maybe someday when I'm a big girl.
This is great. Okay, this was your class stuff. This is your flowers.
Beautiful, Hillary.
I love that.
Thank you, my teacher taught me that.
Oh, looky here, banana. That's a great banana.
Banana's a good practice. It's like a watermelon.
Yeah, very.
There's the line.
Oh, I love the.
Now that was that painting I found up in the mountains and took a picture of, and I made a miniature of it.
I love it. But see, you're saving the white.
And that's got to go with that quote about a forest and songbirds are in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever that quote
That's
was
right.
you
That was off the
shared.
front of my
I
book.
just haven't put the quote.
Oh, and she shared
There's
this.
Max.
Oh, I love it.
I just thought I was gonna quit class after I saw that.
No.
He actually held still for me.
Oh,
But and then you've sketched
I
out some
started
other
the
stuff.
coneflowers, but then I came to a screeching halt.
That's fantastic. Because you're. Can I
So, wait till you
here?
see the
Here's
cover of
my,
her
this
book.
is the lesson one. That's,
You have to see the book cover.
Okay, here's lesson 1.
I love them.
I love the bright colors. And then it's what we've went over earlier.
Watermelons.
Very nice. Oh, I like the bright colors there. Good deal. Ah, cute.
those are
Aren't they cute?
That is precious.
They're like lollipop flowers.
I
I
like
love
I love
that.
it.
But show
But,
the
you know,
cover of that.
But again, y'all need to. You'll find your own happy place with this.
Do you mind if I take a picture of that?
Your happy place may be more
I
whimsical
never go in there.
and less realistic, and there is nothing wrong with that.
That is cute for that.
It's
one.
precious. I really like it.
I think that's adorable.
And I love this. This just makes me hungry.
Why did you criticize that? You weren't allowed to criticize.
it had chocolate syrup on it, yeah, what's?
I mean, yum.
And nuts?
Okay, this is what this was the leaf she found, and then she painted it.
Oh, look at
And she was concerned that it wasn't as pretty as another one that she had done, which I don't see here right now.
this last week.
But the thing is, you have to be, it's perfect for what she was looking at. I love this too. She was watching a video and they did wet on wet where they wet one section of the leaf at a time and then dropped in the colors and let it blur. And she was saying, but this is prettier than this. I said, well, they're different colors.
I actually like the one on the left better.
And the thing about this one is you have to be careful when you're working green next to a red because they're opposite on the color wheel. So where they meet, you are going to get a more brownish tone. But both of these are great. And I love what she was sharing earlier. The video she was watching had this pledge. And she said, I promise to be kind to myself. I promise not to compare. And I promise to have fun. And the lady on the video made you raise your hand and promise. So
Where
y'all
did you find that
should
video?
y'all should do that yourself.
it's
letsmakeart.com.
on YouTube. All
Yeah.
videos are free.
So I mean, she's sharing her art and trying to make it. I mean, what thrills me probably more than anything is when I can show somebody something that they can then take home and do, and that they get joy out of. That's why I teach. Here's a great example too. I like how she edged her work. Did you tape
I
it?
taped it, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what the blue tape is for?
Or you can do artist tape or that cute little, what's it called? Has a W, wiki tape. I'll show you, I have some on a little thing. But then she writes around it, so it makes it nice and neat. And she did this twice, but I love how I can see some blue through the trees. It's, that what's in the foreground is definitely darker than what's in the background. And she said something about, well, this is water, what do you do? And, you know, in Georgia, the water is brown,
Yeah.
especially after rains like we've had. And that's where you decide, well, do I want to paint what I see? Do I want to add, you know, take my artistic license and make something slightly different? That's great. Anybody else?
I was a bad student.
No, you weren't.
I'll share, but I really don't want to put it up there. Because
Okay.
you don't know the sequence of how bad these were.
I will stop this for just right now.
Yeah, well, it was in